So when the organizers of this conference told me that I would be in the live part of this event, I was like, you want a comedian to talk about life? Really? Best of luck to all of you, actually. So yes, I'm a comedian. I've been an improv comedian for 8 years now. Improv comedy is not like stand-up comedy, which you might be used to. So I don't go on stage and tell jokes. What I do is I go with my teammates on stage, and we may do anywhere between 3-minute skits to an hour-long play, and we do it fully without a script. So we take an audience suggestion, and we then do a full hour or a 3-minute script based totally on the spot, on the no script decided, everything is done on the spot. So for example, two of us might get on stage and we might ask you for a relationship between two people. And you might say father and son. And one of us might jump up and just say, Dad, I have some news. And the other one might just look down from his newspaper and say, your results have come, isn't it? And that's it. No discussion, nothing. We just start off, a play begins. The play may be for 5 minutes or it may be for an hour. Let's take another example. 5 of us might get on stage and may ask you for a suggestion for a profession or a hobby. And you might say bird watching. And we might do a full 1 hour murder mystery after that, in which the first actor to go might just start with a pair of binoculars, because the binoculars are going to be, because there is no script, so there are no props naturally. And 2 other guys might just fly in front of him as birds, and the bird watcher may say red-breasted penguins. I know there is nothing called red-breasted penguin, but there is no script, so this kind of things happen. And then we have a play for an hour. And we will create a full world which has the bird watcher might die just in the first scene, and then we create a world in which there is a angry ex-wife who could have murdered him. There is a girlfriend who is jealous who could have murdered him. There is an industrialist who has a factory which is polluting and against whom the bird watcher is agitating. He could be a suspect, or it could be just a rival bird watcher. As we all know, bird watching is really, really competitive, if anyone has been in bird watching at all. And that's it, and we take the play after that. So what does it take to do this kind of play? First and foremost is an ability to look and appear confident even when you are not. And because there is so much uncertainty, there are a lot of times when you are not confident but you still have to appear to be. So if you had seen me in my early days, if I opened a bottle and started drinking, it probably meant that I had nothing, I didn't know what I was going to do next. And that was the reason that I'm doing this. But over time, as you practice, you start becoming confident, more confident, and the acted confidence becomes real. Another thing that you need to be very careful of, or you kind of need to be aware of in improv, is mistakes will happen. Because there is no script, as I said again, and you're doing a play sometimes on a big stage with set and everything, you will do mistakes. And the team has to be, we say not just tolerant, we have to celebrate mistakes. I remember in one of the murder mysteries we were doing, I was being interrogated by a detective. And under pressure from the detective, I just said, you should look at Rock Bottom. Rock Bottom and Rosie are having an affair. The only problem, my character's name was Rock Bottom. So clearly a mistake. But the actor who was playing detective was a really good improviser, and he just jumped and it said, that's a confession. And then we could take that as a part of the story forward. But for me, the bedrock skill that goes into improv is listening. Listening can be as trivial as you are off stage and 2 of your improvisers on stage. Again, going back to a bird watcher example, one of them has become the wife of the bird watcher. If you are not listening, you might be thinking, oh, maybe I could become the wife. And in just the next scene, you could go as a wife. I mean, you can tolerate mistakes, but you should not be deliberately trying to do a lot of mistakes. So listening is really, really critical. And listening is not just about words. So the father in our scene could be saying, your results are out. Or he could be saying, your results are out, isn't it? Same words, similar words, but very, very different meanings. And of course, there can be 50 shades in between, right? So why don't we listen? At least in improv, and then there are a lot of reasons. I mean, if you go out, you will see a lot about listening and why doesn't it happen. But in improv, one of the things is you are not in the moment. And you are not in the moment because of this part of the brain which is telling you what should happen next. This is what I call the tyranny of should. So if my mind is telling me that it's a bird watcher and there is an industrialist who has a polluting factory, he should be the murderer. Or if my mind is telling me if the son says that I have had a bad result, the father should get angry, then there's a problem because I'll stop listening. And I'll start driving the scene towards where I think that should be going. And there's a problem with that. The basic problem is my should, which is based out of my reading, my experience, my lifetime, could be very different from the should of my fellow actor, who has a very different set of experiences. But there's a bigger problem, at least artistically. If we are going to follow a well-defined narrow should, then where is the out-of-box thinking? Where is the real creative element? And this should can really drive a scene to a failure. So I've been improvising for 8 years now, and I've been an entrepreneur for 18. As I started doing more and more improv, I started seeing parallels in improv and entrepreneurship. When you start a new company or a new idea, you go with the product to a client, and the client says, "Can you do this?" Inside, you are not at all sure. But you take a sip of the helpful beverage and say, "Yeah, sure." And over time, that confidence starts becoming real. If you are a startup, you are going to make mistakes. I'm not saying that you should make mistakes, but you are going to because there are so many new things. And very soon you start developing a tolerance towards that. And the third thing, one of the biggest problems I face as an entrepreneur is the tyranny of should. If I have a product and I send a proposal to a potential client, I'm sitting there refreshing my email. Have I got a response? I should have got a response by now. If I put up a video, I'm sitting there. How many views? Oh, 173. 173. It doesn't change. But my mind is telling me it should be 1,000. And it doesn't stop, right? When I have 1,000 views, it should be 10,000. And when it becomes 10,000, it should be 1 million. And what does this should do? This should prevents you from listening. Maybe the potential client that you send the proposal to is telling you that if you make a minor change to your product, the product could be perfect for her as well as for a lot of other people. Maybe the 173 views you have, which you are not diving deeper into, if you analyze the data, it is telling you that maybe everyone has seen it right till the end. So you don't have fans, but the fans don't, the number is not high, but the fans really love you. So maybe you should be producing more videos. So the lack of listening in improv means that a lot of comedic opportunities fly by. And the lack of listening in business could mean that a lot of business opportunities fly by. So I'm not suggesting for a moment that if you're in a business that, maybe you should not have targets or expectations. But what I'm definitely saying is we should be looking at where those expectations are coming from. Are those expectations coming from a meeting with an entrepreneur who has 10 years of experience and you're just starting off, and you say that you should be as successful as that person in the next 3 months? Or is it coming from a 5-page article that you read in a business magazine about Elon Musk, 25 years experience, and you feel your story should right now be the summary of his 25-year story that you saw? If that is the case, then that should really vary you. So here, what have we done? I have taken what makes a successful improv scene and drawn parallels to what are some success factors in entrepreneurship. And I'm really, really tempted to take it further and say, to take it to life itself. After all, being confident in uncertainty in life, it's a good thing. Being tolerant of mistakes, that's a good thing. And who of us will say that they are not bothered by shoulds of our own life? I'm really, really tempted. But I'm not going to succumb to this temptation. Because as I said, nobody should be taking life advice from a comedian. Thank you very much.